You think you've seen the worst the world can offer. You think you understand fear. But what I'm about to tell you will make you question everything you thought you knew about safety, about sanity, and about what truly lurks in the shadows. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below if you dare, because once you hear this story, there's no turning back. It all began when I arrived at the Arctic Research Station, isolated, frozen, a place that seemed untouched by time or the usual chaos of human life. My assignment was simple, or so I thought. Observe, record data, follow the station's rules. But almost immediately I noticed something off. The station was governed by a set of rules so strict, so strange, that at first I laughed. No one questioned them, and everyone obeyed without hesitation. They seemed paranoid, silly even. No wandering after dark, never open certain doors, always double-check the supplies. But being the curious, skeptical researcher I was, I couldn't help but wonder, were these rules just old superstitions? Or was there something deeper at play? The first night, the wind howled outside like a living thing. Snow and ice battered the walls. I remember staring out at the endless white, thinking, I was alone, but then I heard it, a whisper, soft, almost human. It seemed to float through the ventilation system, brushing against my ears. I shook my head. Must be the wind, or exhaustion. By the second night, the station's paranoia started making sense. Supplies went missing. Food that had been carefully counted would vanish. Sometimes just a few pieces at first, then whole packages. The staff whispered about shadows moving where shadows shouldn't move. Faces would appear in reflections that weren't there when you looked directly at them. I thought I was imagining things. Everyone said they felt the same. But the oddity escalated. Equipment malfunctioned, always at the worst times. Doors slammed shut without explanation. And one night I caught a glimpse of something outside the small observation window, a dark figure moving against the snow, yet impossibly fast, impossibly silent. It was intelligent. I knew it instantly. There was purpose in the way it watched, in the way it waited, and in the way the rules of the station suddenly felt alive. The more I resisted, the more aggressive it became. It manipulated us, picking off supplies, driving staff to exhaustion and paranoia, pushing us to the brink. I remember the moment I understood the gravity of our situation. The station's senior scientist, someone who had been there for over a decade, cornered me in the mess hall. His eyes were wide with fear. He said, "It's not just cold or isolation that kills here. It's what follows the rules, and what punishes those who don't." I laughed at first. "You're losing it," I said. But deep down, a chill settled in my bones. Something about his tone, his rigid fear, felt real. That night I broke the first rule. I opened a door I shouldn't have. And that's when the horror truly began. The lights flickered. The temperature dropped so fast my breath turned to ice in front of me. I heard the whispers again, but this time, they were closer, surrounding me. I felt the presence before I saw it, a cold, malevolent force that seemed to know my thoughts, my fears, my mistakes. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was something else. Something that thrived on our terror. From that point, survival became a game of obedience. Every step I took, every choice I made, had to follow the unspoken logic of the station's rules. Food, warmth, safety, everything depended on it. Breaking even a minor rule could attract the entity's attention. I saw my colleagues crumble. Some became paranoid, talking to themselves for hours. Some disappeared entirely, leaving only traces in the snow outside. And I knew no rescue would ever find them. This place had a way of hiding its secrets. The entity was clever, patient. It knew we were outsiders, and it used that against us. Days blurred into nights, or maybe it was nights into days. Time lost meaning in the frozen expanse. My fear became routine. Following the rules became instinct. But the entity, it never slept. It watched. It waited. And every night, I felt its gaze, burning through the walls, through my sanity. There were moments when I tried to fight it. I tried to escape the station to leave the rules behind. But the Arctic is merciless. Blizzards tore at any path, windstorms that could rip the skin from your bones. And I realized something horrifying. The entity didn't need to touch us directly. It let nature do its work. It let our desperation and fear feed it. By the time I understood the truth, I was alone. The other staff had vanished, either driven mad or taken by the entity. I had nothing left but the rules and my own sanity teetering on the edge. Every night I recited them to myself like prayers, hoping that following them would keep me alive. And then, the final test came. I was rationing what little food remained when I saw it, clearly this time. The dark figure at the far edge of the observation deck, watching, waiting. But I didn't panic. I remembered the rules. I stayed calm. I followed the procedures we'd been taught, and somehow it backed away, retreating, not gone, but repelled. I escaped that station by the narrowest margin. The Arctic claimed its secrets, but I carried the knowledge with me. Some truths are too dangerous to share. Some rules exist not to oppress, but to protect. And I can never forget the feeling of being watched, hunted, manipulated by something beyond comprehension. If you ever find yourself facing rules that seem strange, remember this story. Sometimes paranoia is survival. Sometimes the shadows are alive, and sometimes the only thing between you and something utterly incomprehensible is obedience. So what would you do if you were in my place? Would you follow the rules blindly, or risk everything for your own curiosity? I want to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below. And if this story chilled you to the bone, don't forget to subscribe for more terrifying tales like this. Because out there, in the endless darkness, some things are watching, and they don't like to be ignored.